Hey, how are you? Quick reminder that this and all podcasts aren't a substitute for professional advice about your specific situation. The views expressed here are mine and those of my guests only. We're here to spark some thoughts, challenge some perspectives, and maybe, just maybe, help you see the world a little differently. Disclaimer, side effects may include increased self-awareness, unexpected insights, and the occasional uncomfortable truth. Transform responsibly. Welcome to Shobokai Shift, a podcast about transformations that matter. Here, we talk about how to navigate complex change so that we can find greater meaning and purpose in life. I'm your host, Mary Schaub, and after 3 decades orchestrating change for Fortune 500 companies, I'm now finding purpose in guiding fellow warriors like you on your path to authenticity. Today, you guys are sharing your experiences in using ancient thinking in a batshit crazy 2025 world. On our last show, I shared some concepts from Taoism and Buddhism that can help cope with our crazy modern world. I then asked you guys if you were using ancient practices in your life. Before I read your responses, I just want to call out how awesome the White Lotus finale was. I know it's been a little while. I'm recording this after the fact, and I know that this isn't a podcast about reviews, but man, there were a lot of really cool Buddhist themes running through the show this season, so I'm using it as an excuse to talk about it a bit. I won't spoil anything specifically here, but if you don't want to hear my thoughts on White Lotus, jump to the next chapter. Okay. So the Ratliff family, played by the brilliant Jason Isaacs, Parker Posey, Patrick Schwarzenegger, Sarah Catherine Hook, and Sam Nivola, super fascinating. Was it me, or did it feel like maybe you've seen this family on vacation before? From the first to the last scenes, I was captivated. The parents and the eldest son, the one got played by Schwarzenegger, they're so attached to their external identities. They're like caricatures in a lot of ways, and yet, like I said, they seem realistic. I feel like I've met them somewhere. I think that the writer and producer Mike White did like such a brilliant job making these characters seem like over the top while, I don't know, dare I say relatable? The mother, Victoria Ratliff, played by Parker Posey, is so identified with her societal mask that she explicitly says she'd rather die than live without it. And then there's the security guard, Gaitak, very deeply spiritual Buddhist practitioner. I mean, his issue is that he doesn't have a persona. He's walking around living authentically and in complete alignment to his beliefs. Unfortunately, being a security guard is not really in alignment to Buddhist principles. If you remember from our last episode, we spoke about the Eightfold Path, and we spoke about right livelihood. It shouldn't be a surprise to you that a job where you might need to beat people up or even kill them is kind of a no-no for Buddhist practitioners. So we have the Ratliff family that are completely dissociated from both their inner and outer realities, super attached to their own ignorance, completely unmindful, inconsiderate. I mean, like, let's call it what it is, right? They're assholes. All of them. I mean, even the daughter, who you're kind of hopeful, like she's testing the idea of like going to a Buddhist monastery for a year. And she and her younger brother seem to be on the cusp of breaking out of this miserable family, or fantasizing about staying in the monastery. It's her trying to break out of it. Or maybe we want to believe that, right? We want to believe she's redeemable. And then what happens? The mother senses it, right? Like, doesn't like it one bit, super threatened. And not just like as a mom losing her daughter or being worried about her kid living in a foreign country. The mother is threatened because the daughter's curiosity with living a moral and authentic life threatens everything that this family's about. It's kind of like what they say in recovery: when one person changes, it challenges the status quo of the social group. And then you have Gaitak. He's toying with the idea of also changing, but in the opposite direction, moving away from his inner ideals and moral compass. He wants the girl. And the girl, she wants a big, tough guy who's successful, who will move up the ladder at work because of her own identity. She wants to be associated with a man who has power and status. Anyway, really great show. So many deep themes and character arcs to talk about, but I'm digressing. Let's get back to you. 3 of you wrote in, so let's get started with Lena from Asheville, North Carolina. She writes, I realized I've been pushing myself to show up on social media, even though part of me was bored and frustrated by it. I want to do yoga and meditate, but I'm not there yet. Honestly, I am still finding it hard not to look at my phone all day. I'm starting little by little, putting time blocks on social media apps. I still can't resist picking up the phone, so I'm starting with 1 hour a day where I go out and do something without my phone. This doesn't sound like much, but it's a huge deal for me. Thank you, Lena, and congratulations. You start by saying, I realized, and that alone is a big deal. I mean, literally starting with self-awareness is huge. Great to put some time restrictions on apps. I use autofocus and I've taken all the social media apps off my phone and I'll either look at them on my laptop or my iPad. I put some time restrictions on them. Listen, they're just all addictive. You know this, right? You know yourself. They're super addictive. And we do live in a world where you need the smartphone to be productive, like, to call an Uber, pay for things, even boarding passes and tickets are on your phone. So like going for a walk or sitting for like 1 hour without your phone is huge. I have a sense from what you've said that you are looking at this like a meditation practice. Okay, you might not be sitting on a mat, in the lotus position, but you are introducing mental discipline to your life. This is a big step. And like anything, it's going to take time. But don't quit because it's hard and it takes time. The practicing is actually the point of it. Okay, next up we have Darren from Nutley, New Jersey. Shout out to Nutley. I have a very good friend, Tina, who lives there. Hey, Tina, fellow Jersey girl. Okay, Darren writes, so I am in finance and chasing the big money. Wow, right out of the gate, Darren. Okay. He writes, I sometimes work 60 hours a week easy. At my firm, we wear burnout as a badge of honor. I was getting up at 4 to run and lift weights, and I ended up hurting myself. I was so angry that I couldn't work out, and I was getting in my head about losing all my gains. My PT recommended I practice Qi Gong while I was healing. He sent me to a place that, well, let's just say it wasn't equinox, but I gave it a shot. I thought it looked really easy and I was pretty negative about it, but I tried it and it was a lot better than I expected. I kept with it and I started sleeping better and being less annoyed with people. I'm still working long hours and I will go back to training harder when I'm better, but I may try to keep up with this practice. Thanks, Darren. I have never practiced Qi Gong before, but a friend of mine does and has had really good physical and emotional results from it. I did do a drop-in at an Aikido class once, and it surprised me too. I was terrible at it. People were very patient and nice. But listen, my jam is yoga. I've been practicing for some years, and I know when I'm doing yoga regularly, my mind and body are just different. Just like stronger, more flexible. The forced mindfulness of these practices, like you're getting like a twofer. It's a double benefit, right? You're exercising body and mind at the same time. Very efficient to do. Sounds like you'd appreciate efficiency by the way you're speaking. Moving meditations are great, especially when you're first getting started with disciplining your mind. For some people, sitting on a mat for 20 minutes is just too hard when you're starting out. So doing yoga or Tai Chi or Qi Gong, all these combine movement, breath, and mindfulness, and you're working them all at the same time. It's a great alternative to just sitting on a mat. I hope, Darren, that you keep up with it even after you're back at Equinox doing all your sweaty finance bro stuff. Okay, next up, Roxy L. from Brooklyn, New York. She writes, I'm always overbooking myself with workshops, side gigs, and self-improvement podcasts. Oh, I hope I'm one of them. So I've decided to let Saturday be a me day. I don't schedule anything at all and play it by ear and just do what feels right. Recently, I've started doing psychedelics, meditating, and listening to trippy music. I have had some really powerful experiences and feel like I've opened up a new layer of myself. I'm not religious, but what I'm doing feels deeply spiritual. And even though it's drug induced, it's having a positive impact on me during the week. Awesome. I know actually a lot of people who are doing this. And you're right, Roxy. Plant medicines have been a part of spiritual practices for indigenous cultures since like forever. Now, technically, in terms of Buddhism and Taoism, there's very little evidence of systematic psychedelic use as part of their core practices. So these traditions really focus on meditation, ritual, discipline, and philosophical inquiry to reach altered states versus a substance. In certain Tibetan and Himalayan Buddhist contexts, there is some evidence of ritual use of cannabis, though this wasn't central to mainstream Buddhist practice. And in Taoism, there was significant interest in elixirs and plant medicines, but these were generally aimed at longevity, health, and immortality rather than visionary experiences. Maybe some Taoist alchemical preparations had psychoactive properties, but it wasn't typically the central focus. So for Eastern spiritual paths specifically, they're going to use meditation, breathing, fasting, and physical disciplines like yoga or Tai Chi. But you know what, Roxy? I still love what you're doing, and so I wanted to include it anyway. I think we have an upcoming show on psychedelics specifically, so stay tuned. All right, that's it for today. Thanks to Lena, Darren, and Roxy for sharing what they're up to. If you have a question, comment, or just want to say hello, drop me a note, or better yet, leave a voicemail, and we may play it on a future episode.